I was sipping coffee on my porch, watching my sprinkler tick away, when a crew showed up and severed my water line on orders from Karen, our HOA dictator, who claimed I was wasting water during a drought. It was 8 a.m., Saturday, March 5, 2025, in Oakwood Estates, a Columbus, Ohio suburb where every lawn looks like it's auditioning for a golf course, and the HOA's got a chokehold tighter than a python. My modest two-story house, with its scrappy garden fighting the drought, didn't scream rule breaker, but there I was, staring at a utility crew tearing up my yard like it was a sandbox. I'm Jack Thompson, 55, retired engineer, the guy in a navy polo and jeans who keeps a toolbox ready for anything: leaky pipes, squeaky doors, or, apparently, HOA warfare. My coffee mug steamed in my hand as I stormed across the lawn, the sprinkler's rhythmic tick-tick now a pathetic sputter. The crew didn't even look up, just kept digging under the foreman's grunt of HOA orders. Then I saw her, Karen Mitchell, 45, HOA president, perched in her Lexus like a queen on a throne. Tailored blazer, oversized sunglasses, leather purse clutched like it held her soul. She waved a violation notice, with a smirk that could curdle milk. "Karen, what the hell is this?" I yelled, waving at the ditch where my water line used to be. "I'm under the drought limit. You can't just cut my damn water." She leaned out her window, voice dripping with fake pity. "Jack, you're wasting water. In a drought. The HOA has proof of overuse. This is for the community." She flicked the notice at me like I was a peasant begging for crumbs. I grabbed it, scanning the BS about exceeding allocated gallons. Pure fiction. I'd tracked my usage like it was my stock portfolio. "This is a lie, Karen. You got no evidence, and you sure as hell don't have the right to destroy my property." Her sunglasses glinted as she revved her engine. "Take it up with the board, Jack." "Oh, right, I run the board." With a hum of her Lexus, she sped off, leaving me with a crumpled notice and a dry pipe. The crew packed up, their truck rumbling away as the nearby creek babbled, mocking my wilted tomatoes. My toolbox sat in the garage, calling my name. Karen wanted control, the kind that makes her feel like she's got a crown. Me? I just wanted my water and maybe a little justice. My phone buzzed, probably Tom, my lawyer buddy, who'd eat this story alive. Karen thought she'd won round one. She didn't know I was already planning round two. Karen's crew left, but her demands were just getting started. My yard was a muddy scar, my sprinkler dead, and that crumpled violation notice burned a hole in my pocket. I grabbed my toolbox, not to fix anything yet, just for moral support, and marched to the HOA office, a squat brick building that smelled like stale coffee and broken dreams. It was time to set this straight. Inside, Lisa, the HOA secretary, was shuffling papers like she was auditioning for a nervous breakdown. She glanced up, her eyes screaming, "I hate my job." "Jack, Karen's in her office," she mumbled, nodding toward a door plastered with community guidelines posters. Before I could knock, Karen's voice boomed, "Come in, Jack. Let's make this quick." She sat behind a desk, her leather purse thumping down like a gavel. "You're here about your violation, I presume," she said, her sunglasses perched on her head like a crown. "Stealing water in a drought is serious." "Stealing?" I slapped the notice on her desk. "I've got receipts, Karen. My meter's under the Ohio drought limit. Your crew trashed my property based on a lie." She didn't flinch, just slid a water meter reading across the desk, some janky printout claiming I'd used triple my allocation. "This says otherwise," she smirked. "Pay the fine for unauthorized use, or we'll escalate." I leaned in, scanning the numbers. "This is garbage. Your meter's off by a factor of 10. I'm an engineer, Karen. I know how to read a gauge." Her eyes narrowed. "Don't lecture me, Jack. Pay up, or we'll cut your water again." Bill, my neighbor, poked his head in, baseball cap tilted like he was ready to throw hands. "Karen, you're out of line. Jack's not the only one you're hassling. Sarah, another homeowner, nodded behind him, arms crossed. Check your math, Karen, I said, tapping the printout. Or I'll check it for you. Karen's purse hit the desk again, harder. You're all ungrateful. This HOA keeps property values up. Lisa winced, dropping a pen. Bill muttered, she's lost it. I hefted my toolbox, its weight grounding me in the haze of stale coffee and Karen's perfume. I'm not paying a dime, I said. Fix my water line, or this gets ugly. She stood, blazer crisp as her voice. You'll regret this, Jack. Expect a formal demand by Monday. She stormed out, leaving Lisa to shuffle papers faster. Bill clapped my shoulder. She's been gunning for you since you fixed that fence without her approval. Sarah whispered, Lisa's got dirt on her. Keep pushing. Outside, the creek babbled past the HOA's pristine lawns, a reminder of the water they couldn't control. My phone buzzed. Tom, my lawyer buddy, texting, heard about Karen. Send me the notice. Karen thought she could bury me in fines and threats. She didn't know I was already digging through her lies, toolbox in one hand, proof in the other. As Karen's threats escalated, I knew this wasn't just about water, it was war. Monday morning, a certified letter landed in my mailbox, stamped with the HOA's logo and reeking of Karen's smugness. It cited Ohio water laws, claiming I'd violated drought restrictions and owed a $500 fine, payable in 10 days, or they'd slap a lien on my house. The legalese was thick, but the message was clear, kneel or bleed. I tossed it on my kitchen counter, the creek's babble outside mocking the absurdity of it all. I called Tom, my lawyer buddy, who answered with a chuckle. Karen's at it again, huh? Send me the letter. By noon, he was at my place, sipping my coffee and flipping through the pages. She's overreaching, he said, scratching his chin. Ohio law doesn't give HOAs this kind of power. She's bluffing, but she's nuts enough to try it. I faxed a response, politely telling Karen her evidence was hogwash and her fine was unenforceable. I figured that'd be the end of it. I was wrong. 2 days later, another letter arrived. Karen had upped the fine to $1,000 and tacked on a threat of legal action, claiming my defiance was a nuisance to the community. Nuisance? She'd cut my water line, and I was the problem. My blood boiled, but Tom stayed calm. She's digging her own grave, Jack. Document everything. I started a file: letters, photos of my torn-up yard, my water meter receipts. If Karen wanted war, I'd bring a tank. Then things got creepy. Karen started parking her Lexus outside my house, idling like a stalker. I'd catch her watching me through those oversized sunglasses, her engine humming as I mowed my patchy lawn. One evening, I waved, all smiles, just to mess with her. She peeled out, tires squealing. The creek kept gurgling, indifferent to her power trip, but my toolbox sat ready in the garage, whispering ideas I wasn't quite ready to act on. Lisa, the HOA secretary, slipped me a heads-up over coffee at the diner. Karen's targeting others too, she whispered, glancing over her shoulder. She's got a list: folks who don't kiss her ring. You're just the loudest. She slid me a printout of an HOA email where Karen bragged about teaching rebels a lesson. I tucked it in my file, thanking Lisa with a nod. She was risking her job, and I wasn't about to let that go to waste. Bill, my neighbor, was done grumbling. He started a petition to oust Karen, passing it around at the community mailbox. She's a tyrant, he said, his baseball cap tipped back. Half the neighborhood's with you. Sarah, ever the organizer, got 10 signatures in a day. I saw folks whispering at the bus stop, glancing at Karen's car as it cruised by. The air was thick with rebellion, and I was the spark. I kept watering my garden by hand, hauling buckets from a neighbor's hose, but every trip past my busted water line stoked my fire. Karen's letters kept coming, each one shriller, demanding payment and threatening court. Tom laughed them off. She's got no case, but she's banking on you folding. Don't. I wasn't folding. I was plotting. The creek's steady flow was a reminder, water finds a way, and so would I. One night, Bill swung by with a beer and a grin. Petitions at 50 signatures. Karen's losing her grip. We clinked bottles, the creek's babble mixing with our laughter. My phone buzzed another text from Tom, Karen's lawyer's a hack. You're solid. I slept better that night, dreaming of Karen's Lexus stuck in the mud. But Karen wasn't done. She upped the ante, sending a process server to my door with a summons. The HOA was suing me for willful non-compliance and community harm. Community harm. My tomatoes were dying, and I was the bad guy. I called Tom, who was already drafting a countersuit for harassment. This is gold, Jack, he said. She's handed us a slam dunk. Karen's car was back the next morning, idling like a predator. I snapped a photo, adding it to my file. Lisa texted, she's unhinged. Be careful. Bill's petition hit 75 signatures, and Sarah was planning a neighborhood meeting. The creek kept flowing, it sounded a steady pulse in my ears. Karen thought she could drown me in threats, but I was building a dam of my own proof, allies, and a stubborn streak wider than her ego. When Karen's crew cut my water line a second time, I decided to take matters into my own hands literally. It was a crisp March evening, the kind where the air smells like damp earth and rebellion. I'd come home from work to find my yard torn up again, a fresh gash where my water line used to be, and a new violation notice taped to my door. Karen's Lexus was long gone, but her message wasn't. She thought she could break me. Instead, she'd lit a fuse. I grabbed my toolbox, its familiar clatter like a battle cry, and headed to the creek that ran through my property. That babbling ribbon of water was mine legally, thanks to Ohio property laws Tom had dug up. The HOA's pristine lawns, those emerald altars to Karen's ego, depended on this creek for their underground irrigation. If Karen wanted to play dirty, I'd play dirtier. My plan, a makeshift dam to divert the creek, drying out her precious greens. Bill was already at my side, his phone out, filming like he was Spielberg. This is gold, Jack, he said, baseball cap tilted. Give them hell. Sarah showed up with a stack of sandbags she'd borrowed from a construction site, her eyes glinting with mischief. Let's make Karen sweat, she said, heaving a bag onto the creek bank. Lisa texted a warning, Karen's at the HOA office. She suspects something. Good. Let her squirm. The creek gurgled as I waded in, jeans rolled up, boots sinking into the muddy bed. I stacked sandbags with Sarah, building a low wall to redirect the flow toward a dry gully on my land. Bill narrated, his voice low but gleeful, Jack Thompson, neighborhood hero, takes on the HOA empire. My toolbox clinked as I grabbed a shovel to reinforce the dam, the metal scraping against rocks. The water slowed, then shifted, curling away from the HOA's pipes. I wiped sweat from my brow, the creek's new path a quiet middle finger to Karen's reign. By morning, the HOA's lawns were already looking parched, their perfect green fading to a sickly yellow. Karen stormed over at noon, her heels sinking into the mud as she shrieked, "You're sabotaging us." Her blazer was wrinkled, her sunglasses askew, and that leather purse swung like a weapon. A small crowd gathered, Bill, Sarah, a few neighbors drawn by the commotion. I leaned on my shovel, calm as the creek now trickling elsewhere. Sabotage? I said, crossing my arms. You cut my water twice. This creek's on my land. Check the deed. I'm just redirecting my resources. Bill snickered, his phone still rolling. Sarah handed me a water bottle, whispering, "She's losing it." Karen's face turned the color of her dying lawns. "This is illegal. You're ruining the community." Her voice cracked, and I almost felt bad almost. "You started this, Karen, I said. You want water? Fix my line. Bill chimed in, go, Jack, and the crowd murmured agreement. Karen spun, nearly tripping in the mud, and stomped back to her Lexus, engine roaring as she sped off. The next day, the HOA's lawns were browning fast, patches of dirt peeking through like a bad comb-over. Neighbors started talking, some pissed, others secretly cheering. Bill's video hit X, racking up views with hashtags like #HOARevenge. Lisa texted, Karen's calling an emergency board meeting. Watch your back. I didn't care. My tomatoes were still wilting, but I'd struck a blow. The creek, now flowing through my gully, was a reminder, I wasn't just fighting for water. I was fighting for control. Tom called, laughing. You're a madman, Jack. Legally, you're golden, the creek's yours. But Karen's lawyer's drafting a nuisance claim. Let her try. My file of evidence, letters, photos, Lisa's leaked emails was thicker than her rulebook. Sarah organized a neighborhood watch to keep Karen's crew off my land, and Bill kept filming, his narration now a daily X series. Day 3 of the Creek War, he'd say, panning over the HOA's sad lawns. Karen drove by again, slower this time, her sunglasses hiding her eyes but not her scowl. I waved, toolbox in hand, and she floored it. The creek's new path sparkled in the sun, a quiet victory. My phone buzzed with comments on Bill's video, screw HOAs. Get her, Jack. I wasn't just a guy with a dam. I was a symbol, and Karen knew it. As the HOA's lawns withered, Karen's fury boiled over and the law stepped in. Her nuisance lawsuit hit like a cheap shot, accusing me of harming the community by diverting the creek. The legal papers, stuffed with jargon about aesthetic damage and public detriment, demanded $5,000 and an order to restore the creek's original flow. I tossed the documents to Tom, my lawyer buddy, who smirked over his coffee. She's grasping at straws, Jack. This is harassment, plain and simple. He was already drafting a countersuit, citing Karen's property damage and falsified meter readings. We've got her, he said, cracking his knuckles. Bill's petition to oust Karen had ballooned past 100 signatures, fueled by Sarah's flyers exposing Karen's reign of terror. Lisa, the HOA secretary, took a bigger risk, slipping me a USB drive packed with damning emails. In them, Karen bragged about crushing rebels and rigging water data to find her enemies. She's been at this for years, Lisa whispered at the diner, her hands trembling. You're just the one who fought back. I added the emails to my file, photos, receipts, violation notices, a legal arsenal thicker than Karen's rulebook. The creek, now a steady trickle through my gully, gurgled like it knew what was coming. Sarah's rally was the spark that lit the powder keg. She'd turned the community park into a battleground, with neighbors wielding signs, Dump Karen, and Creek Justice. Her voice rang out, leading chants that echoed off the oaks. Bill was there, filming for X, his baseball cap low as he muttered, this is bigger than Watergate. Mike, a tech-savvy neighbor, live-streamed it, his phone capturing the crowd's roar. I stood near the back, navy polo crisp, my toolbox left at home but its weight still in my bones. The air smelled of grilled hot dogs and rebellion, the creek's distant babble a quiet drumroll. Karen's Lexus screeched into the lot, tires spitting gravel. She stormed through the crowd, blazer flapping, sunglasses gone, her face a twisted mask of rage. You're a menace, Jack, she screamed, jabbing a finger at me like I'd torched her lawns myself. You're destroying everything we've built. Her voice cracked, spit flying as she shoved past Sarah to get to me. The crowd booed, signs waving, but Karen was a runaway train. You'll pay for this. All of you. I stepped forward, hands in my pockets, voice steady. You started it, Karen. Cut my water, lied about my usage, sued me. Now finish it. The crowd erupted, chanting, Creek. Creek. Bill zoomed in, grinning like a kid at a fireworks show. Sarah tossed me a wink, her sign high. Karen spun, wild-eyed, and kicked over a "No More Karen" sign, splintering it. That's when the cops rolled up, 2 officers stepping from their cruiser, radios crackling. "Ma'am, you're done," the taller one said, grabbing her arm as she flailed. "This is assault," she shrieked, her purse hitting the grass with a thud. They cuffed her for disorderly conduct, her screams fading as they stuffed her into the back seat. The rally exploded in cheers, signs thrusting skyward. Karen's Lexus sat abandoned, its door open, engine idling like a dying beast. My phone buzzed, Tom texting, "She just tanked her case." Mike's live stream was blowing up, X comments flooding, "Get her, Jack. HOA down." Sarah hugged me, whispering, "You did this." I shook my head. "We did." Bill clapped my shoulder, still filming. "This is going viral, man. Hashtag Creek Justice is everywhere." The next morning, Tom filed our countersuit, piling on charges: harassment, property destruction, fraud. Lisa's emails were the knockout punch, proving Karen's vendetta was personal and her evidence fake. Bill's X videos, now at 1 million views, turned our fight into a national parable. Neighbors dropped by with beers, toasting the guy who beat the HOA. My garden, watered by hand, was hanging on, but the HOA's lawns were a dusty graveyard, brown patches mocking Karen's legacy. The creek's new path sparkled, a quiet testament to my stand. Karen's lawsuit was crumbling, but she wasn't done flailing. Her lawyer, a sweaty guy in a cheap suit, tried to intimidate me with a settlement offer: drop my suit, pay $2,000, and restore the creek. Tom laughed it off. "They're scared, Jack. We've got the emails, the videos, your receipts. Keep pushing." I did. Sarah organized a neighborhood watch to guard my dam, and Mike kept streaming, his ex-followers doubling. The rally's chant still rang in my ears, a soundtrack to my defiance. Karen's car stopped showing up, but I knew she was plotting. My phone buzzed with X notifications, strangers cheering, sharing their own HOA horror stories. I wasn't just fighting for my water anymore. I was fighting for every guy sick of being stepped on. Karen's lawsuit crashed, but the creek's flow and our community found new life. By April 2025, the court had ruled in my favor, slapping Karen with a $2,000 fine for harassment and property damage. The judge didn't mince words, calling her actions a gross abuse of power. Better yet, the HOA board, spooked by Bill's petition and Lisa's leaked emails, forced her resignation. Karen was out, her Lexus spotted loading boxes a week later. Rumor had it she moved to a condo in Cleveland, where HOAs feared her name. The HOA didn't just lose Karen, they fixed my water line, gratis, under pressure from Sarah's flyers and Bill's viral X videos. My sprinkler ticked again, coaxing my tomatoes back to life. The creek, still diverted through my gully, was my trophy, its gurgle a daily reminder of what I'd pulled off. Neighbors started calling it Jack's Creek, and I didn't correct them. Bill's hashtag Creek Justice campaign hit 2 million views, turning Oakwood Estates into an HOA horror story shared across X. Comments poured in, "Screw Karens everywhere. Jack, you're a legend." Mike's live stream from the rally was clipped into memes, Karen's meltdown remixed with cartoon sound effects. Bill swung by with a printout of the top X post, grinning under his baseball cap. "You're famous, man. Beers on me." Sarah organized Creek Day, a neighborhood bash in the park to celebrate. Kids ran through my redirected creek, splashing in the gully while adults grilled burgers and toasted my navy polo-clad self as the creek hero. Lisa, now interim HOA secretary, handed me a mock trophy, a plastic sprinkler painted gold. "You saved us," she said, her nervous shuffle gone. I laughed, raising it high as the crowd cheered. The creek's babble mixed with their voices, a sound sweeter than Karen's Lexus ever was. Sitting on my porch that night, toolbox stashed in the garage, I thought about my dad. He was an engineer too, the kind who'd fix a neighbor's fence just because. He taught me that community isn't about control, it's about showing up, tools in hand, when someone's in a bind. Karen thought she could choke us with rules, but she forgot what makes a place home, people who fight for each other. I diverted a creek, sure, but Sarah's flyers, Bill's videos, Lisa's leaks, and Tom's legal jabs built the real dam. Entitlement dries up, resourcefulness wins. I sipped my coffee, the sprinklers tick-tick steady again. My phone buzzed with X notifications, folks sharing their own HOA nightmares, from fine flower beds to banned mailboxes. Creek Day had sparked something bigger, a middle finger to every petty tyrant hoarding power. I posted a photo of my garden, captioning it, "Water's back. Karens beware." The likes rolled in, and I grinned. This wasn't just my win, it was ours. Love this Creek Justice tale? Like, share, subscribe, and hit that bell for more. Got your own story of sticking it to an HOA bully? Drop it in the comments. Gimme the pettiest fine or craziest rule you've fought.